What's going on, everybody? This is your host, Nick Saponaro. We're here for another yearly roundup video. So we're just getting started here. I'll give us a few minutes to let people filter into the live stream. Um, wow, I'm excited to be here. There's a lot to go over today, a lot, and it's been a great year, despite it being a really shit year. So we're really excited to go over everything that has happened, um, everything that we've achieved, everything that we are looking forward to in the future, of course. And we have several guests from the team coming on to talk about a variety of different topics and things that we have done this year. We're really like probably one of the most resilient projects in the space. And it's just a true testament to how strong the community is. That's really what it's always come down to, and all of the bear markets, and all of the tough times, and all of the ups and downs with this project. We've always been able to lean on each other, on the community, and that's really, in my opinion, what makes the crypto world go round, so to speak. I'm excited to talk about what we've done, but I also don't want to, pat ourselves on the back too much. I want to look at what we could have done better as well. I want to look at how we can improve in the future, both from a project standpoint and as a community. And we'll talk about a lot of the big changes that have happened to the project over the year. We have people from the emerging solutions side. We have Josh. We have Robert Baldy from the DAO, and Jeff will be here. Renuke's here. So we have the whole squad. The voices popping on stage. Just as we get everyone in here, looks like we have about 40 people already joining us on YouTube. We are live streaming on X as well. If you guys could do me a huge favor and just retweet, post on Twitter, whatever you got to do to share the stream out. We want to let as many people know about this live as possible. Otherwise, I think we can probably get started. I'll start bringing people up on stage. We're going to try to keep it as conversational as possible. I don't want this to be like a sales demo or presentation. I think it's best if we just all hang out and chill and vibe and do our thing the way we always have. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on several people who you guys probably recognize. We have the whole team here. I'll bring everybody up first. How's everybody doing?
Very good, thank you.
Good, how are you?
Great. Yeah,
Is
very
my
good.
background too noisy?
Wow.
It is. It's complimentary.
Yeah. So a few of us are rocking fake backgrounds, despite what you might think. This is
It's
not
not
my baby
fake. What do you
grand. Yeah. You're in like psychedelic wonderland. Probably closer to your reality than what's really like.
I want to take some of what you're taking over there.
Yeah. I took one
Oh
of these.
man.
Look, these here I have genius mushrooms.
Oh wow, yeah.
Genius mushrooms.
Oh my goodness. So guys, we're gonna get in here into the nitty gritty of everything. I wanna start with just talking about where the market is. If you guys do me a favor as we go through this, I'll leave everybody up on stage. But if you could just mute your mics as we go through things, and unless you want to speak, that would be awesome. Just in case there's any background noise, I'll do the same when I'm not talking. So yeah, first of all, market update. Right. So what a great end to the year. I mean, we have everything going up and to the right. Everything is just frothy and euphoric, and everybody's excited and posting their gains on Twitter and Instagram and all this stuff. But the normies, so to speak, have not re-entered the fold. Most people in the world are not talking about crypto. We are very close to the trees, and we often miss the forest for that reason. And we feel that, oh man, if you look at things, 3 months ago or 6 months ago, everything's up 100% plus or whatever, depending on what coin you're looking at. I missed the boat. But in reality, there's so much room to go. We still have the ETF announcement to come. It's looking like a spot Bitcoin ETF looks imminent. There's just no chance that it doesn't happen at this point. It's pretty. I know that people are saying it's priced in. There's going to be a sell the news event. I wouldn't fall for that. Typically, what the market thinks and what the market does are completely different. This is an enormous moment for Bitcoin and for crypto that will rise the tide of every ship in the water. It's a big moment. And they're already talking about Ethereum ETFs, and they're already talking about other ETFs. Eventually, we'll have baskets. Crypto, the fight is being won, despite the fight being ongoing. The fight is being won. The vindication is imminent. You know, there's just no denying that crypto's here to stay. Bitcoin is going to be a major financial asset class in the future. So we're very excited that the market is going well. But it's still always good to be cautious in this space. There's a lot of volatility still to come. We still have the halving. We still have a lot of events to happen. So, but that's good. You know, the market is doing what the market should do. So, let's move on to the rest of the topics that are, of course, more Divi related. I think we'll probably go straight into Foundation, if that makes sense for you guys. I'll bring you guys back, and perhaps Baldy, you want to talk about stuff.
Do you want to just mention the whole agenda?
Yeah, we can go over everything. Sure.
Yeah, there's quite a lot to get through. Even though it was a tough year, we've done quite a lot.
Yeah, and we
It's
have
very true.
this slide too. So if we do need to do that, but you're handsome, so we'll keep you up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a number of items that we'll go over today. So we just talked about the market. We'll talk about the emerging solutions like Divy DeFi, the updated roadmap, Simplex on ramp, the DAO, meme coin for the ecosystem, the new websites, Divy 3.0, the new light paper, the market making initiative, and of course we'll finish things off with Divy Swap and Lightning Works, really rounding out the whole ecosystem. I think what you guys will learn or will see as a result of this stream is that it is becoming a very well-rounded ecosystem, and we've done this on a shoestring budget with basically no outside help other than the people who exist within our community, which is to me, that's how crypto should work. It's a testament to the strength of the project, and I think that will be illustrated really well over the course of this video. So, yeah, without further ado, shall we go into the foundation with Baldy?
Sure. What the funny part is, I'm actually foundation itself. So just to review, I don't know how many people we have on here, but to review, Divy is a number of different kind of entities. So there's the foundation, which really is controlling the coin itself, you know, the blockchain itself, what happens to it and so forth. Having really looking like a ghost here. And then it's connected to a treasury, and that's how funds get distributed and so forth. But Divy Labs is a separate entity, and it really, it's the one doing the wallet and so forth. And then there are, so those are separate entities. We've gone over that a lot of times in spaces on which part does what. The foundation is really what is pushing forward with, like if you read the light paper, that's really blockchain based. That's really more towards, that's really being governed by the foundation right now. And so there's so that's the light paper there, the exchanges we get on, things like that. That's all the foundation. And that's where all that work really happens. The people who are in the foundation, I'm actually not sure. I know that's Jeff, and can't remember if there's anybody else. Somebody can help me there, maybe. Jeff.
Yeah. So like, I kind of look at it this way. There's a physical entity, right? Like a legal entity called Divy, which is a foundation in the Netherlands. And yeah, that exists. But I guess I look at the DAO as more so the infrastructure that drives the community driven parts of Divy. of course, there's a legal entity because there has to be something for like regulators and stuff like that to look at. But to me, like, it is meaningless. The DAO is the DAO, right? It is what it says it is. It's a decentralized autonomous organization, and it's operating better than a lot of DAOs, I think. Of course, it's smaller, so perhaps that's the reason behind that. But it's completing initiatives. It's doing things. I mean, how many votes have you had this year?
I think we got 15 at this point. I mean, I could just jump into the DAO if we want to talk about that, because I like it. So I have to admit, and I think we can all admit to ourselves, it's more of a dough at the moment. So I am working to get the A in there, but it's really not. I'm doing way more of the work goes through me way more than I want. Actually, infinitely more than I want, because it's not quite autonomous as it should be. And that's just a matter of me having time and there being money to actually make it so that happens on it. That part of it happens on, the creation of votes and the governance model has been implemented. So we're not there. So the first 12 votes, maybe it was, or most of the first 12 votes were about that governance. We took it step by step. I like the way we did it. I'm still proud of what we all did there. We didn't do it all at once and make a mess out of it. We just said, do we want a DAO? And then, do we want to have, what are the requirements of the DAO? And that was like 3 or 4 steps. What are limitations of the DAO in terms of how the voting happens, in terms of quorum, how often somebody can, how to prevent proposal spamming, and all that kind of stuff. I think what we crafted through a series of votes came out really nicely. And I think we've got something that's going to work really well when it's implemented. And so that part of it's not right now. Anybody who comes to me with a proposal, we'll review it and make sure, we'll review it. And I think all of them have gone through. So for example, Leagues came to me and said, hey, can we do this immortal NFT for the DAO? Oh, let's go check. So we put it out there for a vote. We did the immortal NFT. So a bunch of those are out there for people now. They don't actually exist, but when we have the governance in place, those will exist. Those people will get those. And the same for there was the name of the master nodes for the final stretch of those master nodes. We had a whole vote there. We had I think we had down to 10. We had 10 entries that we scraped it down to. There's a vote on that. Somebody won that. I don't remember if the funds were sent out yet, but if they're not, I think they're going out today. One of those two things are happening. So all of those things were really part of developing the governance of the DAO. And right now we're still on the basics. Right now we're still using the basic method, which is you need one Divi. And that's how you can participate with the DAO. That is still valid today. Any new DAO proposals, I'll get up there if you just want to give them to me. And we can start voting on them. The DAO really is intended to provide more utility for Divi, fund itself, raise funds for itself, and so forth. And on that topic, I think we did a really good job on raising funds for market making. So we in the DAO channel, we talked about getting funding for market making. Somebody can remind me how much was it? $10,000 ish that was raised for that.
No, it's a lot more than that.
Was
at
it?
This point? Yeah, I think they're only a few thousand away. We can talk about that when we get to the DAO, I suppose, at the end.
Oh, I was just skipping ahead to that now. So
okay.
Yeah. So
I don't have the exact number, but I think it's right around 20,000 at this point in time.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's a pretty big deal. So I think there's only about 3,700 remaining for the entire year. I mean, that's such a beautiful thing to say, that this was us as a community coming together and through the foundation just blowing this up, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing. So if you can, of course, if you're listening, help out. We only have the 3,700 to go. Go ahead and jump in. We've only got a few days left, I think. So exact
the cool
time
part of it is anybody who's looking at KuCoin, they can actually see when that got funded and when the market making started again. It was
huge.
It's really that DAO is going to be very powerful for us when it's fully, the government is fully implemented. We're just using it autonomously because it clearly can raise funds for things people want. And so that part of it is working really nice.
The other thing I would add, and maybe you can cut me off if you like, but the DAO that we're on right now isn't just a finished product. This, you've heard me use it before, and maybe you don't choose to use that. We're in a proto DAO. This is about culture change.
Yeah.
This is about putting the community in power, which is where we needed to go as part of even what the original roadmaps would have stated. But the DAO that we have is Ethereum based, and I won't tip my hand or anything, but essentially the DAO that will be the final DAO will be on what? It won't be on Ethereum. It will be on another chain, the Divi blockchain in a special way.
Yep. So that's a cool thing coming up. But I mean, that's not a tomorrow thing, but that is the proper way. In my eyes, that's the proper way to develop a DAO.
Correct.
So we'll get there.
Yeah, we got a slide for that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I didn't know how it would go when you guys initially proposed it. I was hopeful, obviously, but it's honestly, it's exceeded my expectations. I mean, the fact that we've locked in, 6 months of market making. There's people from the DAO now actually coordinating with the market makers. Like it's not even me anymore, which is great for multiple reasons, but mostly amazing because it truly was community led. Like I didn't put any input into it. Jeff didn't put any in, like no founders had any contribution in any way to the success of that initiative. And that's great. I want to take one quick step back because we do have Russ here now. Hey, what's up, Russ? As you guys know,
hey guys, sorry about that.
No worries. It's fine. Russ is our CFO. He's been with us for several years now, and he's been extremely valuable in helping us strategize from a financial perspective over the past, since he's joined, but especially over the past year. For those that don't know, and this is maybe a story to quickly tell, Russ and I spent many months in Dubai together, raising around, and I guess that was in 2022, end of 21 into 22.
Yep.
Big sigh, because this was like a really difficult time for both of us, and for the team and for the industry in general. And some of you know this story, but we had a big ticket on the table, big check, a term sheet that was ready to be signed. Everybody was on board with it. And, we were super excited to move forward with this, new paradigm that we were going to shift into. Then Luna crashed. Then Celsius was a scam. Then BlockFi crashed. Then Voyager crashed. And then FTX was a scam. And crypto was just poison. And it was just bad timing. If we had signed the sheet a month earlier, which we were aiming to do, we were pushing to do, things would have been a lot different. But it didn't work out that way. It was really disappointing. It made me extremely depressed. And, having to work through that and stuff and continue to grind even harder because we had a lot less money at that point. It was tough. It was really, really tough. And Russ was there the whole time with me. And I don't think I would have gotten through it without him. But it did force us to become a lot more lean in the bear. And we had to look at everything really critically in order to survive. Probably, I know like you could look at different metrics and say, the 2018, 2019 bear was worse or longer or whatever, but this was the worst bear market I've ever seen in crypto. Absolutely the worst. I mean, we had a lot more attention than we did in 18 from big players, and we bungled it. I mean, not we, a couple of people gave a really bad, left a really bad taste in people's mouth. And it was really hard. Nobody wanted to talk about crypto, NFTs. Everything was just absolute garbage to everybody who talked about it. So we had to take some really, really significant steps to survive over the past, 18 months, whatever it is, that this bear market has lasted. So I'll bring Russ back up now. and we can talk about some of the decision making that took place there. And I'm happy to contribute, Russ. But basically, you know, the long and short of it is cost cutting and increasing revenue was the primary outset. So if you want to just give some color there.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you guys did the slide presentation or whatever. I know that there was this little some thoughts that we put in to this discussion, but as I was thinking back over 2023, you know, we're in the midst of a war. I mean, we can't hide that fact. We have, and for all intents and purposes, a recession. Countries may hide their stats, but we're in a pretty much global recession with some massive inflation, and sovereign debt is increasing all across the board. And that's just the reality of things. Now, in the midst of that, then we have this burgeoning thing that was called crypto, that you can't say the word crypto anymore, attempting to, you know, provide an alternative financial future for the world, right? Jeff can wax poetic on that subject. But in the midst of that, though, you have state governments that were trying to clamp down and protect themselves in the midst of this financial war. And here we are in the middle of that. All of us, the community at large, all these different projects, whether they're fintech, Web3, whatever, trying to make their way in the world. And I can recall sitting there and talking with all these investors and investment houses and private money willing to throw, you know, millions and millions and billions of dollars, and it dried up overnight. And that's unfortunate where we caught ourselves in there. Now, I think this is not the first time that Jeff and Nick, you guys have been through crypto winters, but I think this crypto winter, combined with the economic malaise of the world, this has definitely been the most severe. And so we have survived, but I would say it's by the skin of our teeth. And it's not without some tremendous sacrifices of both very valuable personnel, you know, financial sacrifices from everybody involved on the Divy Lab side, but it's also impacted the community writ large in our coin price. There's no way to hide that. At the same token, we have survived. And the question is now a broader question to the overall community. How do we want the future to look like? If we're coming out of this bear market, how do we want the future to proceed? And I think the DAO and the splitting of the DAO into its own really autonomous group is absolutely the right way to go. I can't be more pleased with what Neegs and Rob and Voice and others have done, and a whole host of others that I won't name here, have done to, you know, take over the direct oversight and management of market making, liquidity management, maybe even, I mean, at the future, right? And when we're talking about selecting what kind of exchanges to be on, those decisions, while they were important decisions and very difficult to get through in terms of compliance, those types of decisions really do belong in the broader community and not just Divy Labs. Now, Divy Labs, I think, is always going to be there from the standpoint of trying to support and financially support that. But the reality is, in the coin price the way it is, the owners, and in the cost cutting mode, we could not afford to pay for basic market making. And so the community stepped up, and I think that's a huge testament to the community, even in the midst of this crisis. Any comments from the rest of the group?
Yeah, I mean, you put it very well, so I won't belabor the point. But I will say, you know, while we cut a lot of costs, you know, some of the infrastructural changes and the overhaul that, you know, the team, especially along with Voice and a lot of the other devs and Neegs and Rob, like the infrastructural overhaul, which we'll talk about in a little bit, was paramount to the survival of the ecosystem. And Herman, of course, as well, putting in multiple years of work in order to achieve a blockchain that is more efficient, and taking out some features that were causing bloat, including masternodes, which obviously were a big part of our history and are now gone. Those things helped us cut costs by 70, 80%, which is absolutely massive, especially in a time where, every penny counts. We've survived now. I mean, I'm not saying the bears is over, but it's pretty much, it's changing course. We've now survived as a project 2 horrendous bear markets. And we're going into the next bull, with a lot of strength, which, we can start to get into some of the things that we've achieved this year, starting with, I guess, the top level, which is the new website. So I'll let you go, Ranuk, and chat.
I think it was actually a good time, because one of the biggest things, like making sure, especially in a bear market, is like making things as easy as possible. And we always talked about, taking out any friction. And one of the things that we had to do with the website was the one we had was a bit clunky, and it was not easy to buy on the website, so it didn't really show. So one of the biggest things we wanted to do is to make it simpler. And again, mind you, we did this website without any devs, any budget. So it's amazing, what we managed to put together. So one of the biggest things we added was the buy function. It was very easy to find for people how to buy Divi. The other one was adding clear USPs as to why they should come with Divi. And then another thing we worked at the same time, parallelly with Rob and the team, was working on the roadmap, which we will get to in a second. So adding that onto the website, updating what we had and how we kind of developed from where we initially set off to go. And at the same time, we've been working on the light paper for quite a while. That wasn't on the website. We had a white paper from the very, very early days. So that was another thing we wanted to get onto the page. So all of that together, and also making sure that we are discoverable. So that's through SEO, when people are Googling or on Microsoft. So when they're searching for us, to make sure that our website is as optimized as possible for it to come up. So that was another thing that we focused a lot on. So a lot of things we did, like I said, with we didn't really have much of a team, but we managed to put it together. So yeah, it's great. And I hope it's helped you guys to make it a lot easier to, access Divi. And obviously learn and join the journey with us. I think, Rob, how much pain we went through getting, the roadmap together and getting all of that in place, but onto the website. So I think it's a good time to kind of talk about how we got to the roadmap and
Sure.
And where we're going.
Sure. Just a
Sounds
quick
good.
note. I'm trying to capture people's questions so we're not losing. I'm trying to capture questions, and at the end I'll hit all of them, or we'll go through them if we have time for that. But so people who are asking questions in the notes there, I'm trying to keep them. So don't feel like you're not heard if we're still yapping. So there's that. The roadmap. So I think everybody can kind of remember that we sort of had 2 roadmaps. And in this last year, we kind of shifted from an old one to a new one, this being the new one here. And this shift also had a lot to do with, what Nick just described was, we had a big effort in Dubai. We were heading down this Web3 enterprise route that, it just didn't pan out for whatever reasons. And so we always had this kind of like this two roadmaps, a foundation roadmap, again, that's blockchain related, and then labs kind of roadmap. What we're focusing on here is really the foundation roadmap. You can put that back up because that was useful to go. So I wrote a whole light paper for labs and its roadmap. And now we're kind of focusing on this part roadmap. There's a light paper, I can get to it later. I guess I won't spend a lot of time on how we got from the start to here, but really, in September of 2018 is when we kind of all got our first taste of staking and running master nodes. And I remember feeling this elation at the time, like, wow, this is working. Because there's a struggle. I don't know if you all remember, but there's a struggle to even get to that. And we got there, and that part there are these pretty massive improvements between then and now. For me, one of the biggest ones was the vaults. I wrote an article about it. I helped me and other people helped people launch their own vaults without the help of the mobile wallet at the time. It was very kind of technical, but they worked, and it was pretty. I've loved that technology. I think we're still the only chain that has this implementation of a vault, which is really getting the advantages of hot staking and the security of cold staking or cold wallet storage at the same time. It's really the best implementation, and we've had this since Voice helped me. Was it 2020?
Yeah, it's been several years now. So
Yeah.
it's 2.5, almost 3. Yeah, 2.5, almost 3 years ago we started playing with it.
I think we're at 3 years now. So that's been that technology in the blockchain has been in there for years, even though it only made it to the wallet. I think it was like last year, right? That when we got it into the wallet, I think. Am I right?
Well, let's just call it what it was. At that time, it was a proof of concept that was living on the chain, but unless you were nerdly enough, you really didn't do it. So we needed to run it and test it and build on it and do all sorts of cool things and prove what we thought it was capable of, right? And that's what happened.
Yeah, and so that I still run that vault. I have a vault running that's 3 years old right now.
So
yeah, so that's working. That works really well. All the Moki stuff for vaults have been implemented, and previously for masternodes. We got onto KuCoin. That was huge. And we're still there. We're still on some other exchanges, but KuCoin, we have to admit, is really it's where it's at. Anybody who looks at Coin Market Cap or whatever and sees these immense volumes, that's from Ascendix, right? And that's likely not real. But the KuCoin is really where our KuCoin is where our most of our activity is happening, and I like using it. So I'm looking forward to getting on more, of course, but that's working out for us pretty well. So we had this big spike up with La Liga. Spike in activity, spike in attention, spike in price, spike in in everything. And that went well for a while. I don't know if we're going to hit on that too much. And then we got the Simplex working. That was critical to getting that into our wallet. So that was our on-ramp. We had an off-ramp for a while. We don't still have that with Simplex, right? That was with something else.
Yeah, just on-ramp.
Yeah, if you guys haven't noticed, I have a terrible memory, especially with
and I think it also goes to show how much we've delivered, especially in the last year. I think, starting from January with DeFi, which we'll talk about in a minute. And Simplex, and obviously the new website, the roadmap, light paper, and then going into Divy Swap. And there's a lot of stuff that Jeff and the team's done on Lightning Works and everything else that Russell has talked about as well. So we've done quite a lot of things, and I think we probably need 2-3 hours to talk through all of that. So
one important thing, because we got to give credit where it's due, and Sneegs and Voice and Herman and their team really getting us, because we pushed code out there to get features, but we really needed to revamp a lot of code. That was a lot of pain for us. It was a lot of pain for the community. We got to be kind of I want to put this out there and acknowledge it. That was a hard time because it's very difficult to show on the outside improvements that are happening on the inside. But the wallet is way more rock solid now. The entire platform is way more rock solid now than it was, let's say, a year ago. But that was because a ton of work that you really can't advertise, or put PR about modularization of our code and improvements on that level. Really can't. It's very difficult to describe the importance of it, but we see it now. The wallet is in a way better position than it ever was to this day. On this day. So I really want to make sure that congratulations are given to the tech team for that, because it was super important. It was also the thing that led to our lowering of our costs. Massive reductions there, really getting us back on our feet. So it was really important to acknowledge all of that, because that was, when I came on board, it's hard to describe what was going on because it's not exciting language. When I talk about it, it becomes very boring, and I agree, because it's not very exciting stuff. But it's so critical. And that was where I would say a huge portion of our work over this last year during this bear time really went towards. So really, you guys have probably noticed that the wallet just works better now than it did. So that's what that was. I just wanted to point that one out. If you want to put the roadmap up, I can go forward talking if you want. Again, I'm very visual. Oh, here's the important thing I wanted to get to. Escrow and subscriptions are really, they're in the blockchain right now in the same way vaults were in the blockchain 3 years ago. So we don't have front ends that use that yet, but we will. And those are really cool things. I wrote articles on them, so you guys can. Oh, did I yet? I don't think we've released those yet. Actually, I think I have blurbs on them within articles. But really, between you and me, if you want a service and I want to pay for it, we can create the subscription where you can see that the money is there, and it will deliver you money on a weekly, daily, monthly, yearly basis, however you want to set it up. That is super cool. And we're going to see this in other places for payments because, for example, if you want to raise money or raise money and then deliver money to somebody in a certain frequency, this is a perfect example of a use case for subscriptions, not just providing services, but raising money and then leaking it out to do a thing. All of those things. I see the DAO using subscriptions heavily. And subscriptions showing up in other places. It's in the blockchain. It does, but we don't have a way to easily show it yet. And then side chains. So we've spoken a lot in the past about side chains. This is the key to our future. The side chains that we see that we will be seeing Divi aren't like Polkadot or Cosmos side chains. Our side chains are layer 1 side chains. It's a big difference, and they won't have native coins. You'll notice that description there is completely different than all of those two things. Why should they have native coins? To provide utility, you should just use Divi on those side chains. Show me another ecosystem that does it that way. So that is the key with the way we're doing side chains. It's not tomorrow. We want to put the DAO on a side chain. That's what Voice was alluding to before. That's the way it should be done. The side chain should be a DAO. All the stuff should happen there. It should all happen in Divi. And the side chain should be capable of everything that you need to do for doing a DAO, for example, or a marketplace or whatever. That's what we're going to see with the side chains. But this is a project. It's going to be, this isn't happening tomorrow. This is the thing that we're going to talk about and look forward to. And we'll see how it gets implemented. But that's the vision, and that's the big difference. And it's important to understand that our next epic or our next chapter in the Divi universe is really about getting this ability in place, having layer 1 side chains that provide all the utility that any other chain has right into Divi. So if anybody wants to speak to it in a less technical, more exciting way than I do, go.
I tend to belabor things, but what I want to state is that when we state side chains, that means everyone listening is participating. That means everyone who wants to participate can participate. That may mean your node might support the Divi portion, or maybe you run another node that also supports this specific side chain infrastructure. When we say side chains, this is just a protocol and a technology. It is you and me and everyone doing these things. So when we talk about the DAO and everyone voting is supported by everyone else's nodes mining and validating and auditing those votes. This is completely us as a community. And it really is beautiful, and it's the way it should be. And it is layer 1, and it's clean. I will just gush all over it. I'll stop right here, but I'll start crying or my goosebumps will pop up. It's pretty amazing, this technology.
Yeah, it is really amazing, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But with the timeline in mind for today's show, we should keep moving forward. Obviously, there's a ton of potential with side chains and Divi 3.0 and all the things that come along with that. But I think we should probably move to highlight one of our other most major achievements of the year, which was Divy DeFi. This was a huge move from Josh and his team Josh, what you got for us, man? Tell us about Divy DeFi.
Yeah, man, where do we start? It's been a really huge community effort. I mean, everything that went into this beyond the point of just getting the swaps up was really a volunteer effort. So we started out trying to think how long ago we began the Divy DeFi initiative, and really it's been like an amalgam of several different dev sprints. One of those major ones was really working with Voice on getting the infrastructure set up so that we could translate rewards that are taking place on layer 1 and communicate those rewards to layer 2. Voice was really critical in getting that done, establishing like a secure and accurate data point for us to, have the logic done on the layer 2 side to mint those rewards. He made that as easy as he possibly could, and pretty much handed us off with a database that we could pull from. And that's really what allowed us to create the farm rewards. Initially, we had a couple pain points with the farm just because, it's a little bit more complex of a transaction for most users. There's a lot more confirmation involved. We even struggled with Magic Link, getting to do that specific transaction type. So initially, it really was just focused on getting liquidity providers rewards who were using, MetaMask. The reason that we did that strategically was we wanted to create a way for folks to earn rewards on the L2 side, right? And I guess our philosophy about this was on the layer 1 side, you're securing the network, right? That's the work that you're providing with your machine, right? And then we had to think, well, how do we create a meaningful way for the community to contribute on the layer 2 side, and put something up at stake, right? And not proof of stake, just commit something, right? Like they would on the layer 1 side, except that it would be helping the broader ecosystem, right? And we initially thought, well, liquidity is one of the biggest things that drives the overall health of our market. So we basically implemented the farm. As you guys know, we had to do some upgrades to it. One of those was actually implementing the airdrop system, which I was really fortunate to get tons of feedback from the Discord community on. Everybody was, hitting me up with questions, suggestions, and they really helped guide that. So it was like actually a really big community effort, and it was a volunteer effort from people on my team too, because not many folks know this, but I work with developers that are outside of Divi that often volunteer their free time to support the Divy DeFi initiative. So it was really special that they were able to commit time and want to support us just as a Divi holder. And now that we have the airdrop system, I mean, it's easier than ever to earn rewards as an LP. In fact, because of the infrastructure that Voice was able to build on the layer 1 side and the database and all the communication infrastructure, we actually were able to build an Oracle system on the layer 2 side where everything now is rules based. All the rewards that are earned on the layer 1 side for the bridge, which is a very nebulous term that we won't necessarily go into right now, it allows people to earn those rewards on layer 2 just as an airdrop that happens approximately like every 15 days. So that's really exciting that we have built another solution that's set it and forget it. I know we've come a long way and done a good job on the farm, because I don't see a lot of suggestions in the Discord anymore. It's gotten pretty quiet in the DeFi channel. I've seen people post their comparisons and rewards, and over time there's going to be inefficiencies and opportunities for folks to move back to L1 or L2 or participate in both, depending on what they want to do. But I'm really happy that it's gotten to a really solid state right now where it's reliable. We know it happens every 2 weeks. The Oracle's in charge of it. There's really not anything manually being done there. And we have a really secure, data endpoint because of what, Voice was able to build. So that's really exciting. And then, we've got a pretty long agenda for what we want to do next. One of which is referrals. We want to install a referral system. So any of the trade activity that you bring to the Divy DeFi ecosystem, you can be rewarded. We actually have some of that technology already built and scoped out. We were planning on using URL parameters so that all you'd have to do is send somebody to the Divy DeFi website with your wallet address, your Web3 address as a URL parameter at the end of the domain. And that way you can just send anybody there, and it incentivizes people to draw in more activity. So that's really exciting. I mean, we're like halfway through that right now. And then some other stuff that'll come later down the road is just the multi-chain stuff on the new side, meaning like more integrations on Polygon. We're able to accomplish gasless. So, you know, just so people understand what gasless means, that doesn't mean that there's not gas being spent on the transaction. Essentially what it means is that when you submit your transaction, Divy's paying for your gas, right? Because of the way that Uniswap works and contract approvals and spend approvals work, typically like your first transaction, when you know, once you approve that spend, anything after that, you can do gasless on the Polygon side. And really the reason we're able to do it that way is because Polygon's fairly cheap. So it's something that's economically viable for us to continue to do, like in a way that we're paying for, you know, the trades and the transactions on there. Our goal is to build that same infrastructure on Ethereum, except what we would do is do a batch processing, meaning, you know, if 10 trades are placed within a second, we would actually submit those on chain as a multi-call, which basically means we get to pay for one transaction instead of 10, right? And doing that would actually make it viable for us to make Ethereum gasless. So that's also on the agenda. That's actually be a little bit more work. We haven't scoped, we haven't actually started, you know, digging yet into the code. But there's that, the referral system. I know the community had more suggestions that we have on the agenda right now. This is a little bit different from side chains just because this is really just on the L2 side. Despite that, I'm also very excited about the side chain opportunity. I kind of geek out more about like the technical side of what's possible with side chains, just because we're able to peg. I mean, things are really done at the consensus level. There's always trade-offs, you know, when we build new features and new products within the ecosystem. Like, you know, EVM has its, you know, has its limitations, its cons, and, you know, with the L1 side, like we're actually able to do things at consensus, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, we're pretty far in. There's hopefully in the next couple of months we're going to be able to do some refactoring and some updating to the Divy DeFi code base. But for now, we're just kind of in a hold position, making sure that everything's still working properly. And then the next big thing is the referral system. And then hopefully, eventually, we can implement Divy Swap within the DeFi site to make it really easy to access Divy to begin with. So,
yeah, there's a lot
in a nutshell.
There's a lot of potential between, you know, the whole concept of developing the emerging solutions side of things was to have products that could eventually become larger pieces of the ecosystem that were like research or you know, development projects. Of course, become part of the wallet, become part of the broader ecosystem. What I will say is it's worth interacting with all of the things within our ecosystem at the moment. You know, Josh just mentioned referrals. I'm going to talk about Divy Swap in a couple of minutes. And that has its own points infrastructure and opportunities coming alive. There's Lightning Works. There's Siege Worlds. There's a lot of potential opportunity if you're interacting with the ecosystem. That's what I'll say. But before we get to that point, I think we are going to talk about the. Did we talk about the Simplex on-ramp already?
I mentioned it briefly, but
okay. Since we're running low on time, I'm gonna just kind of like breeze through a couple of things here so we can get to the nitty-gritty at the end. Yeah, obviously the Simplex on-ramp has done really well. Believe it or not, it's doing, you know, tens and tens of thousands of dollars. I think it did almost 100K just in the past couple of months, which is great. I was just looking at the metrics a minute ago, which bodes well for Divy Swap because Divy Swap's way cheaper and way faster and way easier. So it's good to see, you know, that once confidence is built in a product, that the community does seem to use it. And we're starting to see that with Divy Swap already. I sent out an email last night to a bunch of people who had signed up for Divy Swap but hadn't used it yet, just to get feedback and see, you know, what could be improved, what was holding people back from using it. It's mostly gas fees on Ethereum, so we're looking at other chains to integrate. Looks like Solana is really popular. We already have the L2s, a lot of the L2s integrated, so perhaps we'll just make those live. But there's a lot of considerations to make when it comes to that stuff. But the people who have used it are extremely delighted, and that's what we want to see. We want to see absolutely delightful user experience, crypto made easy, and that is being achieved by Divy Swap. It's a really cool product. If you haven't tried it out yet, I really highly recommend it. But I also recommend it because we're going to be launching a points campaign within Divy Swap. Season 1 will be focused on volume, so the amount of volume that you run either off or on to the ramp will give you an equivalent number of points. In season 2, it will be based on referrals, and perhaps there'll be a season 3 that is yet to be mentioned or announced. But the points accumulated will start from the time that you start. So even if you've already used Divy Swap, you're accumulating the points. Don't worry, and those points will be redeemed for something in the very near future. So keep an eye out for that. Definitely try to accumulate as many points as possible. It will likely, I need to talk to Josh about this, but we can probably tie it into your referral system as well, Josh, and increase points for heavier utilization of Divy infrastructure and Divy network stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then of course we have the Divy Doge rebrand is coming. Whoops. Sorry, guys.
It happens.
I accidentally I like swiped on my trackpad and just backed out of the
I think you lost your Doge brand is coming.
Okay, yeah, we're rebranding Divy Doge. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Divy Doge is just a fun project. We're going to rebrand it to Milo, and there'll be a lot of the same stuff. NFTs and all that stuff is still coming. So stay tuned for that stuff. I wanted to give at least 5 minutes to Jeff. I really appreciate you being really patient and chilling with us here while we've gone through everything. If you can just give us a quick update on Lightning Works and what you're doing there before we conclude, I'd love to hear what's going on. Jeff, you're muted.
Yeah, so we created Lightning Works basically to create a use case for Divy, because that was one of the things we realized that we needed. We were never really going to be able to compete with Bitcoin and these much larger projects. So I wanted to tackle things that I saw a lot of potential and diversity and solving really real problems. The comic books and manga market are gigantic, right? These are multiple billion-dollar markets, and blockchain solves a real problem because of the publishing and distribution of paper is so expensive, and all the comic book companies lose money. They only make money because they develop IP, they sell, and so the prospect of moving this into digital with NFT technology is something that makes an entire industry that's worth billions far more valuable, and nobody's doing it, right? There's us, and then there's one or two other companies, but ours is we're way ahead. So a lot of people wonder, like, Jeff, why are you doing comic, et cetera, et cetera? Well, it's because I really wanted to create a great use case for this technology, a blockchain that Divy would have uniquely, right? Because we wanted some reason to have people come in and use Divy. So, and there's a lot of opportunities there right now that are coming up with us. We're doing, you just showed the screen there for Alien Worlds. So we have we're hired to do a series for them of comic books. So we're actually trying to launch today, although I don't know if it's going to happen, but it'll be very soon. If not today, we may wait till after Christmas, but we'll have another comic book and it has like a built-in video game built into the comic and all kinds of really cool stuff. If you have Divi and you haven't joined Lightning Works, please do, because we really need your support. Just people talking, people in the Discord. The NFT, the NFT space was completely destroyed by, just destroyed itself. And so it really dragged us down. We made a really big, I think, mistake going after the NFT space early on. I should have probably focused on comics, but we're doing something so new. It's like the comic book space isn't really understanding digital collectibles yet. It's not what they're thinking about. They're still thinking about paper. Although in Japan, it's gone 70% towards digital. They just haven't done blockchain. They've tried, but it's the MetaMask. The people are not willing to use MetaMask, most people. So it's sort of, they hit a wall there. And we've solved that with Divvy Go. So once we put Lightning Works together with Divvy Go, making it really easy to collect your comic books right in chat apps. You don't need to download an app at all for the whole ecosystem. What we've built is extremely powerful. And so one of our plans is we're partnering now with layer 1 chains. We're talking to several about them. And the idea is to bridge Divi to those chains and then use it as a use case on those chains. And we're giving 10% off for the comic books as a way of getting people in. And some of these chains have, they have millions of users that we're talking to that really love the comic book idea. They see it. They don't want to lose out on what it's eventually billions and billions of dollars worth of comic book collecting will go onto some chain, right? So they can be in early, and that's kind of what I'm selling. So right now, in the meantime, I just need everybody's help. If you love Divi, come to Lightning Works and buy a few comics. We're going to be selling these Alien Worlds comics. It's called Starblind. It's really a good story. We only have 5 or 6 pages for the first one, but the story is really fantastic, and the characters are really great and memorable. But come and buy some. You can buy them in blocks of 5, 10, 20, and then you forge them. And Nick and I went through, and Nick can attest that it's really fun, like buying a pack of them and then basically unwrapping them one by one, and then you forge them together, and you get higher and higher up the tiers, and you get better and better comics. So it's a very fun and addicting process that adds a new element to comic books that is uniquely great about the digital medium that we're pioneering. So yeah, I need everybody's support. Come and buy these. You can give them away to your friends, right, in the chat apps, right? So you can buy a block of 10 or 20, give them out as Christmas presents. And for most people, it'll be the first NFT they ever had. If you have WhatsApp, you can do it right now with their Siege Worlds 0. I think it's $5. So please come and support us and spread the word about it. It would be very helpful. It'll really help Divi. I mean, with what we're doing, there's going to be millions of people that learn about Divi one way or another, because we're putting Divi in the video games, in the comics, and all kinds of cool stuff that we're doing with it.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Yes, Lightning Works has an insane potential. I say it all the time. I try to share your stuff as much as possible. There's so much going on there. It can be really revolutionary. I have a real strong bull case for digital collectibles and art. So, we're trying to support you and wish you luck. And of course, it's a use case for Divi, so that there's never anything wrong with that. So we're right up to the edge of the time we have allotted today. It's really tough to fit everything in an hour. The amount of things that we accomplished in this year is pretty staggering, despite, as we've said throughout the call, budgetary resource restrictions, market dynamics, macroeconomic trends. Everything has seemingly been against us. And yet we just kept waking up and showing up and just building. That's all we can do in this space, is just keep building and fighting the good fight and getting more and more people into what we believe to be the future of finance. And that's exactly what we've done. So lots to come in 2024. Stay tuned. Keep joining our spaces. We'll start back up after the holidays. That's where you get the best updates and all of the best information. And of course, join our Discord and Twitter and all that stuff. There's always stuff going on all those channels. It's insane to see this ecosystem grow so much over the past, I guess, 7.5 years since we started it. Having a really clean, scalable, strong security level blockchain, DeFi protocol, multiple on and off ramps, now one of our own even that's instant to your bank, the meme coins, comics, NFTs, video games. The list goes on. The number of things that exist in this ecosystem is wide-ranging and staggering. It's hard to imagine that we're going anywhere anytime soon. I appreciate you guys all being here for the journey and being a big part of Divi. You guys are the biggest part of Divi as the community. You know that. I've always said that, and I'll always say that. So I appreciate everyone. Have a great and happy holidays for those of you that celebrate the various holidays. I'll see you guys in the new year, and we'll have an even better, more successful 2024. Thanks, y'all.